We now know the source of an unpleasant smell that so many people in Nashville noticed this morning. It came from a massive recycling plant fire in the Nations. Our Steve Mailing found what kind of effect that smoke could have for people who are already struggling to breathe.
A story's high fire producing a plume of smoke that stretched for miles. In that smoke, the result of burning metals, rubber, and other possible toxins coming from SA Recycling, who, on their website, specializes in metal recycling.
The duration and intensity factor into the symptoms that somebody may experience. Ever how long it is or how intense it is, how close you are to it. Those two factors are the most important ones that we consider.
Dr. Brad Hoover directs the freestanding emergency room in Nolensville and tells us that luckily in this situation, exposure shouldn't hurt most folks long term.
The main thing I worry about is respiratory, particularly people who have asthma or COPD. They are most susceptible to the toxic chemicals that can in the smoke that comes along with it, causing difficulty breathing, wheezing, coughing. Not only respiratory, it can cause cardiac, it can cause skin, it can cause neurological changes in people, depending on what the chemicals are.
Right, so one of the main things that Dr. Hoover recommended for people who are exposed to stuff like this is to actually just get away from it, get as far away from it as you can, which actually some people in the Nations were doing last night while this fire was still burning. Comments flooded into social media saying that people couldn't handle the smell, something we ourselves could smell all the way on the other side of town. Dr. Hoover says if you're concerned about the smoke, you should look out for a couple things.
Anything more than just the superficial eye, throat irritation, cough, don't feel right, a little dizzy, maybe a little lethargic, definitely seek evaluation and get checked out by your nearest ER.
For WSMV4, I'm Steve Mailing.
Okay, for some context now. So who inspects recycling plants? Well, state and federal programs permit and inspect them. And a grant from the Environmental Protection Agency actually helps pay for the state's efforts to manage waste. That work falls under the umbrella of the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. A recycling monitoring report was completed earlier this year at SA Recycling. State records show that levels of metals like arsenic, mercury, and lead all fell within EPA limits.